Yo, what's up, everybody? It's A.K.A. the Wizard. We had a cancellation today on the artist interview, the put up show, so we're doing this instead. Welcome to Song Production 101. We're going to talk all about how a song is made from the very beginning of the ideas all the way up to how do you get it out on platforms, put on radio, the works. So today is just going to be like an overview of all the steps that it takes. And then each time we do one of these moving forward, we're going to get in like deep detail on each little aspect. So is there five different ones? One, two, three, four, yeah, five, six, actually, six different stages that we're going to walk through. But let's go over them first. So the first thing we have is we have the idea. We start with that. When you make a song, you have to come up with it somehow, right? So it's like the idea stage before there's even lyrics or any guitar or any instrument has been played. It starts with the idea, the core idea of what we're going to make, right? And so that would be like before you write the song, but then that includes the next step of like writing the song and coming up with a melody for it, which is like the lyrical component of it and tells the story of the idea, right? And then step two, I'm actually going to switch it from the way it's written here. It's producing. So we have this thing called production, right? And often there's a little tiny gap in there called pre-production, where if you're working with a producer as an artist, you have to get together to figure this stuff out for producing, right? So that the rest of the process runs smoothly. But then that production stage kind of like culminates all of the creative things that we do to a track. So you now have like a core melody and a vocal or like a lyrics written. You might not even have like the melody fully mapped out yet, right? So it's like this process of arranging a song and coming up with how should it sound and what instruments should be used and like the flow of the actual song itself, right? To take the listener on a journey through that story that we've come up with, right? And a lot of times the melody comes along with the lyrics, but sometimes that kind of gets debatable at that point when the producer or production gets involved. A lot of the times nowadays, the artist is the producer of the song too, right? If you're just working alone and you have like your own little rig and everything, you're even the recording engineer, which is the next stage, step three, right? So like we're combining all these things in today's day and age with like song production because of accessibility, not being able to afford producers and big studios, things like that, right? So we're doing all those steps together. But yeah, so those are the first two. We got the idea, we got the producing, and then we get into recording, right? Which is a lot more of the technical side. So it includes mics, right? It includes the instruments themselves. How do we tune a space so that we can make it sound good, right? What preamps are we using? What kind of interface do we have to actually get the sound digitized from an instrument into the computer, right? And then that brings me to my next thing, the DAW itself, the digital audio workstation, which is like what's going to print and record everything down that we're putting into the computer. So it's like a whole technical stage and a whole discipline in and of itself to just make the sound happen after we've figured out how the song should flow and everything, right? And then during that engineering stage, we have like the mixing stage. So it's taking what's already put into the computer, either by an artist. And a lot of times artists will send this part out because it's like the most technical. You need a space with like objects in the room like this that sound proper so that you're hearing the accurate audio signal as it's being mixed, right? And so it often goes to like this higher knowledge level wizardry type thing to get that part done, right? Because I mean, I work as a mix engineer and it's variable the different things I get from the different artists, right? So like everybody's got a different mic, so that will require a different chain for the tone of it to sound like an industry standard kind of vocal, right? Or like even everybody's got different gear to record with for guitars and the way they're putting it in. So some guys will like put it in with like a 1/4 inch into a jack kind of setup for a guitar recording, where others have like mics, a single mic usually. In the big studios, we use like stereo mics, so like two this way, or there's many configurations, right? But yeah, so then it gets into sound quality that way with like what you're actually using to get the sound, and then printing it, making sure that levels on preamps are right, so we're not adding noise to it, stuff like that, getting strong signals that aren't too strong, right? Clipping. So then we have that mixing stage where everything kind of culminates into there, and that's going to be the presentation of the actual song itself. Getting the sound of it to mesh with the idea of the story and the lyrics and the melody and that whole thing, so that when it's presented to the listener, it's consumed in the right way and they feel something, right? So then making sure like your bass hits properly, the song sections hit properly, all that kind of stuff based on the way they actually sound sonically. And then is that the fifth one? Mastering. The final stage, that's some kind of voodoo art to some. But that's the stage when you've now got it mixed. You've got a stereo file of that song. And it's more like, how does it sound on different mediums? So like I call it compliance, but it's difference between like it sounds good in a car, it sounds good on an earbud, it sounds good on the radio, it sounds good on Spotify through a phone speaker, a Bluetooth wireless speaker, all that kind of stuff, right? And the goal of mastering is so that you get it to sound the same with one file, right? And then it takes, honestly, it just takes a better room, in my opinion, because like when you have a tuned place to listen to that in, you can make those kind of like high end decisions that are going to be, because like there's more to it, right? There's like the digital leveling and stuff, but then like think of this: when you're in your car, right? If a song doesn't have enough volume, you just turn it up, right? But if you turn it up all the way and it starts to distort, that's a bad thing, right? So part of mastering is making sure that those levels maintain on a volume knob, if you will, right? No matter if you're on a phone or on a car knob or whatever you're using, right? When you turn that Bluetooth up, if it's over mastered to a high enough level with distortion, it's going to come through that speaker, right? So it's that, along with, you know how you have like bass and treble on a car, obviously, a lot of the times, right? And you can tune it to add more bass, right? But what is that central point, that mastered spot where everything sounds good when it's at zero? That's what mastering is. And then after mastering, we have stage 6 of the release itself as an artist, right? So leaving that entire technical side and then getting into like more of the creative way that you're going to share this stuff with the world, right? So as an artist, thinking ahead of time what kind of content goes with the idea of the song and the lyrics, right? Who are you as an artist? So, and like what kind of social networks do you have? Who follows you? What are they watching, right? What are you going to present to them? Are you going to present them a song? Are you going to make a video? Is it going to be live performances only at the start? Like there's all kinds of different strategies we can use to like release a song. But then comes another technical part of like putting it onto the DSP. So taking care of like all the clerical work behind releasing a song. So like ISRC coding, publishing, getting it registered with your PROs, like copy, like all that stuff, right? Where it comes like almost like office desk work. Registering it on all kinds of platforms so that things can be tracked on the back end, analytics, right? And then like after that, it's a matter of like having websites and things like that. Where's your home base at? How do people connect with you? It's the same thing we walk through inside the put up artist interviews, right? Where it's like, how can we get the word out to people? Where do we tell them to go? Is your music available on the Apple store? Like, you know what I mean? Like, where do people actually consume it? Do you have a website? Do you use Bandcamp? There's millions of places today, right? So yeah, that's the overview of what this entire song production series is going to be about. Maybe I'm going to just talk a little bit about each one a little deeper. So like we just recently wrote a song, me and my wife, her first song ever actually. And so we haven't even recorded it yet, right? So it's at that first stage of like the writing process / production, right? So she wrote some lyrics down. This is just kind of how it went, right? Like she wrote the lyrics down and they weren't even really lyrics. It was more like, I don't know, broken ideas, if you want to. It's one idea, but it wasn't really like in like syllabic format or like rhyming or anything like that. And then she sat in the studio with me and I just randomly started playing some kind of a progression on my guitar, right? And it was like a finger pick type thing. And that allowed her mind to just like somehow fill in. She kind of had what the melody should be for what you sing to the lyrics, but not really full. But then once she heard me playing that part, then it became like, oh, I know what I can do with these words to make them fit this, right? and it gives more of like a structure to it. And I mean, I've been making songs for a long time, so like when I play my progressions, I know to come up with like, you have a verse section, and then you're going to have maybe a pre-chorus into a chorus and then back to the verse again, right? And that structure format, right? So I just kind of played different things the way that I heard them in my head at the time. And then she ended up being able to mold this song into like how the melody would flow with the whole song. And then we went through a stage after where we'd play it together and she would change it again a little bit, you know, like what she was singing, the actual note she's hitting. I don't think the words really changed, maybe a couple, but like that production process kind of molded into that song creation front end idea process in a way, right? So then like I see when we're getting to recording it now where it's going to be like songs or instrument selection and being very particular of like how she wants to be portrayed as an artist, right? So like we play out live right now where it's just me and her. I'm on the guitar and she's on vocals, right? And it's like, do we want to keep that grassroots kind of feel to everything we do? Or like, do we want to add in digital elements? She's really into EDM. So it's like, do we use some VST kind of like pop farm factor kind of sounds in the back of that? Do we go with a full band kind of sound with drums, bass, guitar, keyboards, right? Like, how do we present this thing now? And it comes down to like the ethos of the artist, really, right? It's like you're going to make all your music that way, or hopefully. I'm weird like that because I make many genres of music when I release stuff, right? But like most artists have a sound to them that they kind of stick with, whether it's country or like pop more based or whatever, right? So yeah, it'll get into that more coming up when we go to record that thing into the computer. Definitely going to start with an acoustic guitar, right? And a lot of the times there's not even like a drum beat mapped out for the song yet. Like I can hear it in my head now that we've played it a few times, but when we started, it'll just be like a click track, a guitar, and a vocal to start. And then we're just gonna like throw things at it and see how it kind of like evolves over time, right? So yeah, that part of the production is probably the most tedious because when I work with clients on this type of thing, it's more like a pre-production session where we're gonna like try and nail this out in a set period of time. Where like writing this song with my wife, it's more of like this process over weeks of time where we've probably played the song like 20 times by now, right? And we just tried it in a different key last night actually when we were practicing again. So it's like this entire process that we're going through right now of like it's weird because when I write my songs, a lot of the times, like the first one I'm coming back to, it came out of me in like 2 hours. I had the entire thing recorded, but I could hear it finished up in my head, right? It's just weird how that works. But yeah, as part of the song production series, we're gonna. I don't know when we'll do the next. When are we gonna do the first one, Julia? Like the actual like steps each. Yeah, so we'll probably record them in the next little bit here over the coming weeks and then start airing them either in between or maybe save a couple of them for if somebody doesn't show up again or I don't know yet. But yeah, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of songwriting, the nitty-gritty of recording. We'll talk about levels, we'll talk about different preamp sounds and mics and formats and ways of doing things that I've seen in the industry over my 11 years and also just like the general practice. Like I went to school for it, so there's like these general this is how you do this kind of thing, right? So we'll get into some of that and then like producing it's very different across different genres, right? So if you look at like I do a lot of hip hop mixing, right? So a lot of the times the beat is made by one guy and he's even mixed it sometimes, right? We just turn it down back to a mix level and redo it with the vocal in it, you know what I mean? But like that's a whole different way of doing things where like the artist receives something that's already mapped out for them and they're trying to fit a vocal into that or whatever, right? And so then it's like my one guy, White Lie, he definitely has been able to link up with some producers and have some things changed along the way. But for the most part, like hip hop music, you're just using what's there, right? And trying to fit your mood and emotions. So it's a different way of making it compared to starting from scratch if you're a beat maker and the artist at the same time, right? So like just these different processes. EDM music, I was talking to my buddy Luke again, and he comes up with these like acronyms or whatever of like the processes for producing songs, and it's so much different to look at for his style of music, where it's like they care more about the different machines and things, and like what process you're going to take to come up with a final refinement of the same sound kind of thing, because you're using a lot of like digital instruments there, right? There's not too much happening out in the actual air with microphones and stuff for recording. So like you're hitting record on your DAW, but it's actually just like playing electric things, right? So then like coming up with the sound and then like redoing the arrangement of that same sound, or like a lot of times you'll have sampled sections of like 4 or 8 bars or whatever, and you're literally popping them around and seeing where they fit together. And you don't want to pile up the song too much in one spot with 18 different instruments when the feeling isn't right yet for that song, right? So like these different ways of looking at things depending on what type of music you're working on, right? Classically in the studio, like on those big recording consoles, we'd always start with like the drums and bass for like a rock song or whatever, because that kind of starting with the lowest frequency type things and then laying it out on a desk kind of format where like it kind of climbs the frequency spectrum along the channels, right? So then like that kind of dictated the way rock songs get made in a way, because now you're going to start with the drums and bass. That's going to give you the feeling and everything for the guitars to come back to, and then the keyboards and like the synths and all that other stuff, right? And then there's a lot like country music, for example, very similar to that. But then like you're gonna go back afterwards and record some like extra stuff, like tambourines or like even bongo type drums in certain other styles, right? Like adding in stuff after you've recorded, right? So this thing's like a liquid thing. And this is where I see like from the 80s onward, when we were like recording with like an artist in the studio, a producer, and an engineer. So like 3 guys sitting in the same room, each doing a separate job, right, of the song production process. And songs were made differently back then because they had those 3 separate processes happening, and they didn't really cross over to each other. Like the producer didn't know a whole lot about like the technical side of mics and like that kind of stuff, right? But the producer is very in tune with like the song, whereas the engineer was like, I'll let him deal with that part and I'll just focus on the technical side, right? So now that we have access to all this stuff, and like the majority of smaller artists are like doing it all themselves, right? Now we have all 3 or all 4 of these jobs combined. And a lot of the times, if you're not willing to pay for it, mastering too, right? And so that's like, it's the funniest thing to me, because like I master some stuff too, but I also have a mastering engineer. And it's like, at what point do I need to like call on him to do something when I've met my limit as an engineer, right? So it's like mixing is this totally different discipline than even mastering. But then it's like, now that you're doing all of it together, you can hop between all these different aspects and like reproduce something after you've already arranged it, kind of thing, right? And just like pop that hat off and put another one on for a little bit and then switch again back to the other one, right? So yeah, we'll get into all this stuff in the coming episodes here, and we'll dive deep into each one. If you guys have any questions that you want me to answer on these streams, let me know in either in the comments or like message me on Instagram or whatever. And yeah, we're gonna dig right into it, and we're gonna make a song maybe even at the end. I don't know. Let's see what happens. But that's all I've got for today. Should be a great time. Yeah, make sure you like, share, and subscribe below here. And you can find my website, chriscollinsmusic.ca. We just released a new shirt on there. I'm raising funds right now for the plugins that just came out of my account. But yeah, we just made this dope new design. It's fringing on the edge of, can I use that term on the back of a shirt or not? But we added to it, so it's got its own little like spice to it. You should go check that out. But yeah, otherwise, catch me on X, on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm working on a new documentary right now with the Nook in Cambridge, the Nook Cookhouse. And I just released a reel on my Instagram there like yesterday or the day before. It's doing very well. But yeah, I'm going tomorrow to actually finish recording the interview over again, because he wanted to change some stuff about it. But then we're going to be finishing this thing up and doing the final edit within like the next week or two. So yeah, watch for that coming. That thing's going to be sick. Also on the roster is I'm going to be shooting a music video with White Lie and Robbie G before his show on December 4th in Waterloo. So if you're local, I mean, come on out and see me at the show, right? You know what I'm saying? I think it's at 7 or 8 p.m. I'll have to double check. But yeah, if you're interested to chop it up there, I'm going to be filming the entire thing during the actual concert too. So you'll see me there. Got all my boys there. It should be a great time, you know? But yeah, otherwise, I think I'm in the meantime, I'm going to release a song that I worked with a UK, a duo of producers in the UK hit me up to do a country song. And so I made an entire song that's going to be releasing, but it's for my wife. So it's going to be releasing in the UK probably on my birthday or something. And then not in North America until February 14th for our 15th anniversary. So yeah, that's probably what I'm going to be doing in the meantime and getting her new song done as well. And finishing my other country song that I'm trying to rewrite a couple verses for. So other than that, sorry? Yo, DJ Melodic, brother. How you doing today? We had to switch things up, bro, because we had a little cancellation. So it's we're just moving like liquid right now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, bro. So actually, I've written two country songs now. So that one in did I have the other one written first? I wrote the first one about going my escapade to jail. And you know what? It's hard. You can't write about something while you're still experiencing emotions about it. But then, like, to look back on it now, I feel that's like solace in being able to get my story out in this new way with that song, you know? So it's going to be like this gritty reality truth country song, Johnny Cash style, about my trip to jail. But then on the other hand, the one that we did in the UK there with the two producers, shout out to Big Alf and Alex Darton. Those were the guys that wrote the beat that I ended up putting my melody and vocals over for that track. And they're in the UK. You can look up Big Elf, and I believe Alex follows him. But yeah, Big Elf is like a beat maker too. He makes some crazy shit. So yeah, other than that, that song will be coming out, and it's actually a love song. That's about it. It's like a story. So yeah, that one should be good. Oh, another country song, eh? You know what? Actually, me and White Lie, Little White Lie, I have these ideas to make some kind of more contemporary country or like poppy type thing where I can sing some of the hooks and he's gonna rap on it. So we're planning to do like a probably an EP in the next few months here before his album release in June next year. Speaking of which, we had to get our passports figured out because we're going to be shooting a music video in Detroit. That should be fun. Coming across the border. So yeah, that's happening. We got tons of stuff going on, man. So I'm just reading this. Yo, yeah, for sure, bro. But yeah, it's been a crazy day. The cancellation happened, so we just decided to jump into something totally new. We've been talking about doing this thing on like song production and stuff for a long time. So you know what? Maybe it was just like it was supposed to happen, you know? So yeah, watch for those coming out when they do. I don't know when we're going to shoot them, but we're also trying to get a bunch of pre-recordings done for the next second half of the put up episodes. So we have one under our belt right now, but I'm looking to do two more for January yet that I have pre-booked. But guys, there's still what 23 or 22 spots open for artists. So if you know any artists that want to get on the put up show, or like DJ Melodic, if you're here, bro, still, I'd love to have you back on. We can share what you've been up to since you were on last time, that type of thing, right? So I believe next week we're gonna have O Smith back on for the second time. And then the following week after that, we're gonna have the guy that interviewed me, Sack Juggalo, from the other channel, Hip Hop Radar Underground. He's gonna be coming on to put up, chop it up with me. That one should be fun. he makes it's the craziest thing. It was the first time that I got introduced to AI music in a way that didn't piss me off, if I can say it that way. Because the way that he was creating it is it's a lot of original ideas being fed to a computer. like the lyrical data. And then, okay, so he also showed us how you can make a song with just like an idea and hit go kind of thing. And that's bullshit. You know what I mean? But then he showed me one of his songs, like one that he played me that night when I was on the interview. And I was like, wow, like, how did you even make that, first of all? Right. And then it had, I knew it was AI because it had my name in it. I was like, bro didn't just write a song about Chris. You know what I mean? Like, so that, like, there's that component to it. But then he showed me what he had actually put into the prompts to make that song happen. And I was like, unless you're a music producer or have some kind of musical ability, you're not going to do it that way. You know what I mean? And then like re-outputting it and re-outputting, oh, it's not quite what I want. Add a little bit of something in there that's going to tell it what to do to the song to make it the way I want it. Try it again. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, try another thing, right? And it was like, by the time he's made a song, there's probably 40 different versions of that like output slightly tweaked in order to get what he's looking for in the song. So I mean, I feel like as cheap as that is, because you don't have to like play an instrument or know how music works in that sense, you have to understand songwriting and understand the arrangement of a song for that to come out the right way, right? So I was a little bit in shock looking at that. He actually showed me the back scenes of his like account. It was the first time where I was like, huh, maybe there is something to it. And the way that he put it was more like, this is like a portfolio of what I can do as a songwriter, but I'm not an artist, right? So like you've obviously heard of Sia, right? For the first, even when she started coming out with music that was hers, she would hide her face with her like hair or whatever, right? Because behind the scenes, she had been writing Rihanna songs and all kinds of hit songs for the music industry, like in the mainstream for like 10, 15 years ahead of it, which nobody knew. She was just the songwriter. She wasn't the artist. She wasn't making the melody so much. You know what I mean? So it's like there's these different levels now where like songwriters that can't play music as artists, like they've never learned how to play a guitar, they've never learned how to sing. They like, believe it or not, they can write a song, but they can't even sing it, right? But then he said, Sack Juggalo was like, this is my portfolio. I'd really like it if a musician slash artist or a group of producers or whatever could take this thing and make it into a real track with my lyrics, right? And be able to perform it live, right? Because I mean, there's no robot on Earth, I don't think, currently that can perform an AI track live. That'd be fucked up to watch, you know, like some kind of holographic projector of like a fake ass thing, like, you know. But yeah, yo, you know what? I don't even think it's so like DJ Melodic. I'm just reading your comment here about that, right? And it's like, it's not even so much the key or whatever for his stuff or the tempo, right? Like, I was amazed. So, like, the one song he showed me, he made a Halloween track, right? And it was like, the crowd would sing some of the lyrics to him like it was a live show. You know what I mean? And I was like, how did you get that to happen? Right. And he's like, yeah, man, I had this idea where, like, in my head, it was like, yeah, you're on stage performing, and you know how you like tip the mic out and let them sing it or whatever as a famous person, right? So it was like they literally sang part of the song back as like a crowd kind of voice. And I was like, wow. And you actually had to put in like a square bracket, crowds going to sing now, these lyrics coming, right? And it was like, yeah, I couldn't believe the amount of detail the guy had to go into to make the song sound that way. We might actually share that song when we do the live episode on December 14th there. That should be sick. Mike is a great track. Oh, Excite Mike. Yeah, heck yeah. Yo, Excite Mike. Big up. And yo, I'm hoping you get that record deal or that publishing deal, brother. Because that's bullshit when you get scams, you know? I've had so many people contact me on my social media over like the past couple years claiming they could be somebody for me, claiming they could do something, and it just never coming through. Straight up scams sometimes, links you shouldn't click. I had one the other day. What was it? It was like they wanted to give me money or something for my music career or some shit. But then I like everything you do with it, like any of these DMs or whatever that come in on your networks, just go to Google really quick and check. You know what I mean? That's the safest bet. So like they're already known. all these scams have already been used 100 times over, and they're written about like quite in detail on the internet already. So I was able to like stomp that one out real quick. I was like, oh, that's not real, you know? Just kind of happens. Yeah, bro. Scammers and bullshit. Yeah, the craziest thing, Julia, can I say it? About like AI taking our idea already. Okay. So, like, the other thing that we see happening now is we came up with this idea. I'm going to talk about live stage 1080 for a minute, actually, because this is like an important thing, especially locally where we are, where we want to create a community, a fan based network where artists, fans, and venues are all interconnected on one platform. So like artists will be able to sign up there for free and be able to promote their own shows on there and link it with the venues that they're performing at so that they'll show up on both pages and then have like a hot map of everything in the city that's going on, right? Because we noticed that like it's hard to get fans out that don't know what's going on, and the reason they don't know what's going on in the city is you have to go to each website of like almost each place. Like, so if you're playing at a pub or a bar or something, only that bar's posting about it on their own feed, and if you don't follow them closely, you're never going to see that there's music happening there, right? Yeah, like there's no visibility for everybody. So like even if you know the artist, if they're not good at social media and posting about their own shows, you're not going to know where to go see them, right? So we're trying to make a place, our own little hub where people can all sign up on there. We got perks and things that you're going to be able to get for being on there and like eventually sell tickets and all that. But the point of it is to connect all these different entities together. So instead of having like each little like brand having their own boards where they post the stuff, that stuff can translate onto this site and everybody can go look there for it and be able to see everything that's happening, open mics, paid events, free events, special events at all the different venues that are in a particular city. So like we're starting with our city, Kitchener Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, right? But we see this thing being able to just scale outward eventually to any city, and then getting the arts centers of your city involved with that type thing to help promote it and get it going for those different places, right? But then having a spot where fans can then go to, say, I want to go out on a Friday night, I'm just a fan, I want to see some live music, right? So you're going to go out there onto like livestage1080.ca or .com and check out what's in the city for the night, right? On a specific date on the calendar. And it's going to bring up everything that every artist, because like I see it easy with artists because we want to promote our brands, right? And get the word out so people actually show up to our stuff, right? So like putting your own stuff up as an artist isn't that bad. It's almost like, well, I found it hard because when you link Spotify has like a specific company you have to register your like live shows with in order to get them to show up on Spotify, right? So we want to have it just open to anything. So you just like post that you're going to be playing at X venue, even if the venue is not part of the network right at that point. It doesn't matter. You can still follow that artist and get notifications of that event happening wherever they say it's going to be, right? So like having that visibility across the board so you can like a one-stop shop for all of the music, right? And actually talk to an open mic host and told him the idea the other night and he's all for it. Like he shared another one with me, but it's like a Canada wide thing where it links, it's almost like talent buying in a way where like the venue can now see that you want to play music or whatever and then help sell tickets on that site too, right? But it doesn't really help the fan. Like there's nowhere you can go that shows like a profile page of an artist or a profile page of a venue. It's just showing that the two are connected and doing something, right? For a specific slot of time. So like what we want to do is have almost like Facebook style or Instagram style like profile pages for each venue, each artist, each fan even, right? So I mean, you'll be able to go see what your friends doing if they go to an event on that platform. You can just go check out their profile and see what's up with them. You know what I'm saying? So like making it all interconnected with everybody, right? That's the idea of live stage 1080. We use 1080 because it's like live stage HD. You know what I mean? The whole idea of that. There's another reason, but I won't even share that one yet. Shh, don't talk about that part. But yeah, so that's what's going on over on our neck of the woods. We're going to be doing this song production 101 series coming up. Stay tuned for all the put up episodes that are coming. We're going to be moving to that pre recorded format starting in January 2026. But you know what? I'm actually the first episode back after the new year there. I'm going to have a special guest in the studio with me. So be sure to come for that one too. It's a guy that I've worked with, I'm going to say 10 years back. This guy rolled through my studio. He was just this little guy at the time, was just starting to make music. And now he's performing in like New York and big venues and stuff. You know what I mean? He's made his name across. He's like semi famous in Toronto. He lives locally here, I believe, still. He puts on events. He actually held an open mic a couple like nights ago or something, I think. But yeah, I'm gonna be bringing him on. I won't even mention his name yet. Look on my socials soon, and you'll see who it is. Live stage 1080 sounds great. Thanks, bro. Yeah, man. And you know what? Just the ability to like I found, because we did that one show that I talked about where like we broke even or whatever on like renting a venue to do a show inside of it, but it's ticketed, right? And like even relaying information across to like a venue wasn't accurate. So like I think 2 weeks before the show when I got put on the show, it was like a couple guys had dropped out that were going to be performing, and like the website the night of the event still showed those two other guys on it because like there was no update made to that like scheduling or whatever, right? So just things like that that end up inconsistent will be fixed with a platform like live stage 1080, right? Because then the artist is in control of it. So if they decide that they're going to have somebody else on their show, they just go back in there, right? Like if they're on there putting their next shows, they're going to edit any that are there already, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It just kind of helps the whole thing. Yeah, it should be great. Oh yeah, Universal Tongues 3. Shout out Mixed Signals, by the way, for coming today. We did a whole project. It's called Universal. Is it Universal Tongues 2? Yeah, I don't think it's 3. Three's coming up. But yeah, Universal Tongues 2 on Spotify actually helped. I think I played a bunch of the instruments in a few of those tracks, mixed them up at the end, did the masters. It was actually fun. I've never done anything like that in my life. These tracks are like wild compared to like your typical music, you know. I see them fit for like certain TV shows or even like, you know, like interactive games that you play on your phone or whatever. This like the music in the background, it would fit in that kind of thing very well. Possibly movies, like very sync worthy type stuff, you know. And it's all instrumental, right? So that maybe, I don't know, could words even be written to some of those things, right? I think the Bundy Apocalypse one, words could be written to something more like that, you know what I mean? But then the other one's a straight instrumental vibe, really. You just stuck listening to like what's gonna happen next. It's dope. Yeah. Yo, thanks, bro. Yeah. You did a great job too. I'm having trouble with that other one with that beatbox. Okay, so the way Mixed Signals makes music, it's kind of interesting. He shows me like these beatbox files of him just like and then like humming the bass line, for example. You know what I mean? And like these ideas just flowing into a mic on a phone. And that's how the song gets created in the first spot. There's not even an instrument, right? And then comes this section. I don't know how you even got the instruments of like playing it on a keyboard. I guess it translates to that out your hands, I guess, right? Compared to like the beatboxing thing. And then we take those and we turn those things into real instruments somehow with different players and stuff. And then come up with the song. Like there's already sequences mapped out, right? But then coming up with how those sounds kind of mesh into something. And sometimes you got to bridge the gap with some like musical fills or whatever. But then, yeah, that's how the songs get created for Mixed Signals Productions. DJ Melodic. It's the craziest thing ever. Like I've never seen that workflow before, and it's kind of cool actually. You know, like who? You know, we tried to get another guy to beatbox for like a bonus track on. Where's JJ Talks podcast, bro? Where's he at? Yo, White Lie's still waiting on that thing, man. Wherever he is, he was gonna do like an entire rap for like a bonus track on the album where it's like the entire beat's just beatbox. So like I don't know. We'll see what happens yet with that. But yeah, other than that, stay tuned for all we have coming up. We got the documentary. You know what? I totally forgot about it. I'm just in the stages of like finishing up a music video that I shot last August, not the one that just passed, but the previous one. So like August 2024, we shot this, and it's the headlining music video for a 4 or 5 track EP that me and my boy Righteous are going to be putting out. So I made all the beats on it, A.K.A. the Wizard Productions, baby. So I made all of those beats. Some of them are hardcore, you know. The subject content of some of his lyrics are very hardcore, like very thought-provoking, dark, deep stuff, you know, about life, about being a person, all that stuff. I think it's going to drop later this month, maybe. I'm not even sure. Or early 2026. But yeah, that one's coming up. We got White Lies album coming up in June. That's almost finished mixing right now. We got the documentary coming out probably early 2026 or very late in the month in December, maybe. I'm sure that music video that I'm going to be shooting on December 4th is going to drop shortly after that. I have 2 other music videos that I already shot with Lil White Lie that I'm going to be editing for like December 17th and 31st. The 31st is going to be a real special one. That's like a tribute song to one of his old past friends. But yeah, so much stuff to look forward to coming into 2026. So like make sure you guys tap in. Find people to subscribe to the channel because we're just locking in and we're just going to drop all of this stuff. So other than that, that's all I got for today, folks. We just did what we had to do because the interview canceled. So like it's only going to get more exciting as a result, you know? Now that we got this entire song production 101 thing started, we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll do some stuff right inside the DAW where I'm sharing what I'm doing as a producer when I'm making some of this stuff, right? And like, I don't know. Taking into account some of these videos Mixed Signal's been sharing with me, man. Because it's like, just some of the like ways to present a song. Okay, hear me out. So you're going to drop a song. You do this entire video of like, the one that he showed me was like 8 different ways to present a song. So like one of the ways was just zooming in on a set of VU meters playing the music, right? With the song going in the background. Then it cuts to a guy like sitting there making it, producing it, mixing the thing, right? Then it cuts to another one where like a tape is playing it. Another one where a record's playing it. Another one where the lights are going, like to the music beat or whatever, right? Like just different visuals that culminate into like the way to present a song online now, with a video. So like think about that. It doesn't always have to be like a full-on music video. It can almost be like a real-life visualizer, if you want to call it that, right? I just thought it was the coolest thing. We're gonna have to do some more of that kind of stuff. And then like, I don't know, build in like a documentary almost kind of component. Music needs to be presented as like storytelling, just like a documentary, right? That's why we do the interviews on the put up. And it's like getting to know what that idea behind that song meant to a person, why we should connect with it, right? Because it needs to be deeper today than just hearing music, because there's 300,000 tracks coming out daily, right? So it's like, what makes somebody latch on to that song that we're doing, right? So like my song, I'm Coming Back to You, it's about when I got out of jail and I was living away from home and I made the decision to go back home and figure things out and fix everything with the wife and all that stuff, right? And it's literally a story of how that went kind of thing, right? When it says like, I don't always really want to know, right? But everyone around me seems to force me to. I was talking about therapy and like going to I spent like $5,000 on like mental health therapies and stuff, right? To get better in my mind and stuff so I could even go back, right? And just all these processes. So it's like the song has to mean more than just making a song for the hell of making a song, right? There's got to be that story behind it. So presenting it in such a way where the story gets out too. So like maybe we're going to get to the point where like we almost do like interview / documentary type song breakdowns or something within a video where you're seeing the VU meters and the cool lights and all that stuff. Just going to cut to a guy on like a lav mic and he's going to be like, yeah, so when I made this song, just like I told you about my song right there. You know what I mean? Doing stuff like that where we can tell the story within the actual promotional content, not just having that cool looking video of you singing your own song or whatever, which I want to do too. I think releasing soon, I'm going to go to Cambridge, right where I did the other interview thing. And I'm gonna just do a video of me walking down that cool ass road at nighttime with all those lights and like singing my "You Alone" song. I think it's gonna be sick. So watch for that too. But yeah, otherwise, we're gonna sign off here. It's been a great afternoon either way. Have a great Sunday, the rest of it that exists for today. And get ready for this coming week because it's gonna be more grinding, baby. Have a great day. Boom.